Hey friends, it is Jenna, what is up, and welcome back to the Board Game Garden, and welcome to this video on this little game beside me here, the most adorable little game. This is Beacon Patrol. It is published by Pandasaurus Games, who is helping sponsor today's video, so a huge thank you to them, and it's designed by Torben Ratzlaff, and this is a cooperative tile-laying game, which I feel like cooperative tile-laying games are slowly becoming more of a popular thing, and I really enjoy them because you can have a ton of people come to the table to work on some sort of puzzle together and try to get the best score possible. So in Beacon Patrol, you are coast guards of the North Sea coast, and you are trying to ensure the safety of the North Sea coast. So you are putting out tiles, moving your ships, and trying to enclose a bunch of different types of tiles, ones with buoys, ones with lighthouses, different things like that, in order to gain the most victory points that you can. There's a little chart in the back of the rule book, and you are just trying to get the best possible scores. So I'm going to go into a little bit of an overview of the game. I'm going to show you guys the components, how it plays, and you guys can kind of get a feel if this is something that you would enjoy and want in your collection. I will say that this is a game that is going to be coming to retail. It's coming to retail on August 2nd. They will have it at Gen Con if you are going to Gen Con. It is currently up on pre-order on their website, so I'll have that link down below for the Pandasaurus website, but it will be coming to retail a little bit later, like I said, on August 2nd, and you can get it at Gen Con as well because they will be there. But yes, let's get into this. I will say it plays 1 to 4 players. There is a solo mode, which is awesome here on the Board Game Garden. We do love a good solo mode, especially a nice, cozy, chill tile-laying game. I really enjoy that sort of thing. So 1 to 4 players, it plays in about 30 minutes, so it's nice, quick, snappy, easy to get to the table, and it plays ages 8 and up. Because this is a cooperative game, I feel like even if your children are younger than 8, I would say even 5, 6, 7 could sit down at the table and kind of help and try to put in a little bit of input into where the tiles go, and you can kind of explain it as you do it. Because it's a cooperative game, it's easier to get kids to come to the table and try and have your help and that sort of thing. So let's get into a little bit of an overview of Beacon Patrol, and then I will tell you guys how the game plays. All right, so starting off with an overview of how the game plays as well as the components. So the first thing that I wanted to point out is that there are 4 player references. Player references are such an important thing to me, so it is great that they have these included. There are 4 different colored ships, and you will take the coordinating color of player reference. So you have the red, black, blue, and white ship, and each of the player references is going to have one side that has the turn actions. So there are 3 different actions that you can perform on your turn, which we'll go over in a second. And then on the other side, you have the final scoring. So once all of the tiles in the piles over here have been played, either onto the table or discarded, which you can discard, which we'll get to. But once that happens, you're going to go into final scoring, and final scoring is going to be done all together. Obviously, it is a cooperative game, so you're going to try together to get the best score possible. And what you're going to be scoring for are explored tiles. So when I say that a tile is explored, I mean that that tile is surrounded up, down, left, and right by tiles. So a bunch of these are explored, but if a tile has an empty space, either at the top, the bottom, the left, or the right, that means that it is unexplored. So you are trying to get as many of these tiles in front of you explored as possible before the end of the game. So that is the first thing here. We have the different player references, and the tiles are going to be scored based off of what is on that tile. So whether that is that it has nothing on it, it's just a normal tile, if it has a buoy on it, or if it has a lighthouse on it. And then there are 2 different mini expansions within the base game. There is the windmill expansion, I believe, as well as the pier expansion. And these things are going to be getting you points in different ways. So the piers here want to be surrounded by open water. You will get 1, I believe it's 1 point for the windmill itself, and then whatever is surrounding on the top, bottom, left, and right, whatever ones are empty or open water also scores an additional 1 point. So if you are able to get open water on all 4 sides, you would gain 5 victory points for each of the windmills that you're able to do that. And then we also have the pier expansion the little mini pier expansion. And this one is wanting to be connected to islands that have houses. So this will score you 1 victory point, and then every tile that is attached that forms into an island, however many houses are on that island, is going to score you an additional 1 point. So this would be 1, and then for example, if this island that this pier was attached to add 3 additional houses, you would gain 4 victory points for this tile. So that, or those are the 2 mini expansions. You also have these here. These are movement tokens. They're little propellers, which I think is very cute. And this is just one of the different actions that you can perform on your turn, where you're going to be flipping over one of your propeller or movement tokens and moving your boat. So you have a bunch of those. Each player is going to get a certain amount depending on the player count. And then also we have this here, which I believe this is something that comes free with pre-order. They might also have these at Gen Con, I'm not 100% sure. But this is the Discovery Tile little mini expansion promo, where basically it comes with 2 tiles. One is an open ocean tile with some dolphins, which I think is very cute. And one is a like full land tile that has a little, like, what even is that? Lookout building? The one where you see like the lifeguards in. So these 2 are discovery tiles, and these will be placed beside and available for you to place at any time. If you ever have one square open space where all the sides, so for example, if I was to place this little lookout tile here, I would need to create an open space where all 4 sides had land. So actually this spot here is almost perfect. For example, let me see if I can try to do this and show you guys. I'll probably show it to you in B-roll, but if I was able to create 4 sides here where an open space could fit this discovery tile, I could take this discovery tile and I could actually place this tile right in the center here. And then that would gain you 3 victory points at the end of the game as a group. So that is just another kind of mini expansion. I believe they will have them, like I said, at Gen Con, but I could be wrong. And then if you do pre-order them, I believe that comes free with your order if you do pre-order it. So that is everything for the components. Like I said, you do have the little boat meeples, which are the cutest things in the world. There are 4 different colors, and yeah. I believe that is everything for the components, but now let's get into a little bit more of an in-depth look at how the game plays. All right, so at the beginning of the game, you will have 1 tile on the table. This is the Beacon Patrol headquarters tile. This will be your starting tile, and each player will deal 3 tiles in front of them. So they're just gonna grab 3 tiles from the pile and place them in front of them. And then, like I said, based off of the amount of players that you're playing with, you're going to get a certain amount of these movement tokens. You will also get a certain amount of tiles based off of the player count. I believe with a 4-player game, you only get 2 tiles, but with every other player count, you're gonna get 3 tiles in front of you. And then as for the movement tokens, for a 4-player game, you're going to get 2 movement tokens. For a 3-player game and 2-player game, you will get 3. And then for a solo game, you get 4. So that is everything that each player will have in front of them. You're gonna have that starting tile. And then starting with the first player, which I believe it says in the rule book, it's whoever has visited the sea last. That first player is going to start their turn, and on their turn, like I mentioned, you have a few different actions that you can do. So the first action that you can choose to do is probably the most common action, and that is taking one of the 3 tiles in front of you and playing it onto the table. So this is going to have to be adjacent to your current tile. So everyone is going to start with their ship on the center tile, so on the Beacon Patrol headquarters. You're going to start on that tile, and then when you're placing one of your tiles, you must place it adjacent to your current tile, and your boat must be able to move from that current tile onto the new tile. So you must, because boats cannot move through land, they have to move through water, obviously. So you are having to connect a water side to a water side so that your boat can freely move into that new tile. So another thing I want to mention is there is a specific orientation that these tiles must be in. There is an arrow up in the top right-hand corner that points up, and that's the way that the tile must be placed. So you cannot rotate the tiles, you must have them facing up, and you can place that tile and move your ship into that tile. So this tile here I could place here, and then I could move my ship down into that tile. That would be one action. You can continue doing this if you want with all three of the tiles that you have in front of you, or you can decide to use your movement tokens. So this is another action that you can decide to do. You can do these actions in any order, and you can do as many of them until you have no more tiles to place. So I could decide if I had 4 tiles and I wanted to, not have my boat on that current tile anymore, and I wanted to move my boat to another current tile so that I could build off of there. I could say I maybe want to move twice. So I'm going to flip over 2 of my movement tokens, and I'm going to move my boat 1, 2. Obviously, the same as when you're placing a tile and moving the boat into that tile, you have to move your boat throughout the water. Your boat cannot move through land. It must move through water sides. So you might want to move your tile here or your ship here, and then you might decide to place another tile, and then maybe move your boat 1 more, and then place another tile. And then lastly, maybe you might want to flip over your last movement token and move into the center, and then that would be the end of your turn. But there is one more additional action that you can do in a multiplayer game. You can't do this in a solo game, obviously, but there is one exception with solo as well that I will get to in a second. But with the multiplayer game, there's one more action that you can do, which is swapping a tile with another player. So if you discuss with the other players at the table, you see that this person might have a better tile and you have a better tile for them, you can decide to swap tiles, and then you can place that tile and move your ship into that tile. So that is another action that you can do on a game where you have 2, 3, or 4 players. But in a solo game, obviously you don't have that option to swap. And in a multiplayer game, typically if you had, at the end of your turn, 1 tile left and you didn't really want to place that tile, you would have to discard that tile. You wouldn't be able to bring it to the next round. Whatever you do not use gets discarded. So with the solo game, they give you the option to actually keep one of your tiles to move to the next round. Because you can't swap with other players, that's kind of like a little bit of a difference with the solo variant, is that you can decide to keep one of the 3 tiles, and then on your next turn, you would just pick up 2 tiles to make it go up to the 3 tiles that you start a turn with, and then you could continue from there. So yes, I believe that is everything. Also, you can decide to discard a tile at any time that you cannot place or you don't want to place, and you can use that as 1 extra movement. So if you wanted to discard, you'd be able to move your boat 1 space, and you wouldn't have to use one of the movement tokens. It would be a totally different type of move, and it wouldn't have anything to do with your movement tokens. It would just simply be you discarding a tile to do 1 movement. So that is, I believe, everything for a turn. You would continue doing this until you had no more tiles, and then it would go on to the next person. You would then flip over all of your movement tokens for the next round. You do always refresh your movement tokens. So every single turn that you have, you will have that full amount of movement to use for that turn. And then you would pick up again to that 3 tile limit and place them in front of you. So yes, that is pretty much everything for how the game plays. Turns will continue going around and round. Players will have those 3 tiles at the beginning of their turn, and also all of their movement tokens. They're going to be placing the tiles, moving their ship into that tile, placing another tile, moving your ship into that tile, maybe moving a few times with your movement token, placing another tile, moving in, swapping some tiles with the other players at the table, and then that is going to happen until all of the tiles are either placed on the table or discarded. And then once that is finished, like I said, you'll move into some endgame scoring, and this is when you will look at all of your tiles and determine which ones are explored, and going from top to bottom, left to right, you will go through and you will count up your scores. So basically with final scoring, it'll be that all explored tiles, and looking at all of those explored tiles, each tile with a lighthouse will score you 3 points. Like I said, these have to be explored tiles, so they have to be tiles that are surrounded top, bottom, left, and right by other tiles. Each one with a lighthouse is worth 3 victory points, so you're really wanting to try to surround those lighthouses. Each of the explored tiles with the beacon buoy, so those are the little buoys, those will give you 2 victory points, and then every other tile that doesn't have a buoy, doesn't have a lighthouse, but is still explored is 1 victory point. So you will go through, you will count up all of those, and then whatever your ending score would be, you would look at the little chart in the rule book and you would determine how well you and your group did in Beacon Patrol. All right, friends, so that is going to be everything for today's video. Hopefully you enjoyed hearing about Beacon Patrol. Like I said, Pandasaurus Games will have this available. It's currently available on their website for pre-order if you want to go check that out. If you're coming to Gen Con, they will have it available at Gen Con along with a bunch of other different game releases there. They will also have this coming to retail on August 2nd, like I mentioned. And yes, huge thank you again to Pandasaurus Games for sponsoring today's video. I also do want to mention that I will be playing this on my Twitch live stream this Sunday. Every Sunday I do a solo Sunday live stream, and we are going to be doing a nice cozy solo Sunday live stream of Beacon Patrol. So if you guys want to come and see it live in action, me playing Beacon Patrol, definitely stop on by and hang out. That will be this Sunday, so this video is either going up on Friday or Saturday, so whenever you're watching this Sunday, I believe it's July 23rd, I'll be going live at around noon Eastern Standard Time for a little cozy Sunday solo live stream on Twitch. I always have my Twitch linked down below if you guys want to go and follow there. But yes, so that's going to be everything for today. If you guys enjoyed the video, please give it a big thumbs up. Also hit that subscribe button down below if you've yet to do so. We'd love to have you here in the garden. Comment down below if Beacon Patrol is something that you are interested in. Also let me know if you're going to Gen Con, because this will be available at Gen Con. And yeah, I love you guys so much. Remember, you are somebody's reason to smile, and I will see you in the next board game video. Bye, friends.